Yo, what is up, guys? Dale Boy here. So Hughie Fury defeats Samuel Peter by way of a 7th round retirement due to Samuel Peter picking up a shoulder injury. This fight was as embarrassing as it looked on paper. It really was. First and foremost, as we expected, Samuel Peter in not good condition, fat, overweight, doesn't look like he's seen a gym for quite some time, and he's ancient and shot to bits. Samuel Peter, he is, I would say, 12 years removed from his prime. A good 12 years. He's well past his best, and he has been well past his best for quite some time. He's in no state to be competitive with any legitimate heavyweight contender. But Hughie Fury still managed to make a pig's ear of this fight. Yes, Hughie pretty much won all the rounds. He was boxing on the back foot, using his legs. He was flicking that jab out there, and he would come over the top with that looping right hand. And that was really it. It was the typical Hughie Fury fight. If you've seen a Hughie Fury fight, you've seen them all. Negative on the back foot, reluctant to let go of his hands and be offensive, just picking up points behind that jab and chipping away with that cuffing right hand over the top. And it was pretty much that round after round. Samuel Peter, early on, he tried to give it a go. He was marauding forwards, slow as molasses, but he was looking for that overhand right, that big left hook. Also, he was trying to work on the inside in the clinch, but his work was very messy. When it got to the clinch, Peter was dirty, but at the same time, Hughie Fury was holding any time Peter got close, and as a result, Peter would, on the inside, he'd land rabbit punches and go low. And as this fight went on, Peter got warned by the referee for fouling, and eventually, before the stoppage, he actually got 2 points deducted for low blows. So when these two guys were in the clinch, it was very messy, very dirty between Hughie Fury's holding and Samuel Peter's fouling. But other than that, it was a fairly nondescript fight, a nondescript performance by Hughie Fury. In fact, I've got to be honest, I was very disappointed with Hughie Fury. Far too passive, far too defensive against a corpse. It wasn't good enough. And listen, I'm not trying to be harsh on Hughie Fury, I'm not. But we need to stop saying, oh, this guy's young, he's got time. Yeah, he's young. But has this guy improved in the last 2 to 3 years? Really? I've not really seen the improvements. In fact, I think this guy's got worse. To me, Hughie Fury's best performance was against Andre Rudenko. I want to say that was in 2015. To me, that's his best performance. I've not really seen a performance as good as that since. He was okay in the Joseph Parker fight, but since then he's been terrible. He is not close to top 10 at world level right now on these performances. He's really not. And people keep calling him a great technical boxer. Based on what? He's got good feet and good foot speed, I'll give you that. He manoeuvres around the ring quite well. Got nice upper body movement. But other than that, there's nothing technical about this guy. The guy can't throw a straight right hand. He can't land punches with the correct part of his glove. He's got a weak jab. Terrible offense. This guy is not a technician. He's not his cousin. He's not on that level. He's really not. He's like a homeless man's version of Tyson Fury. He's a really poor imitation of Tyson Fury. And that style will get you to a certain level. He's good enough to blast away the likes of Sam Sexton at domestic level, and he is good enough on his day to get some decent wins at Euro level, like Andre Rudenko. But past that level, this guy's always going to struggle. Always going to struggle. I mean, let's name a couple of names who are not top 5 heavyweights. Someone like Adam Kaunatsky. Hughie Fury would not have a hope in hell against somebody like that. He was looking uncomfortable with Samuel Peter's pressure, for Christ's sake. He was looking worried with what was coming back at him. He was very timid and very passive. I believe he was intimidated by Samuel Peter. He was intimidated by the power and, presence of Peter. Someone like Kaunatsky would walk right through Hughie Fury. And I would say Kaunatsky is like the 9th or 10th best heavyweight in the world right now. And I don't think he would be competitive with Kalnatsky. Yes, he could spoil. Yes, he could take it a few rounds. That's fair enough. But he wouldn't be competitive to win any rounds. He wouldn't. And listen, I think Hughie is a long way off top 10 level. A long way off. And I think his fans really need to start acknowledging that. You know, it's all well and good saying, oh, the guy's 24 years old, he's got time. But I'm a bit worried we've not really seen any improvements for years from Hughie Fury. You know, to me, I really can't see this guy going beyond European level. I mean, even at European level, like right now you've got Ajit Kabayel, who's the European champion. Are we sitting here and saying Hughie Fury beats Ajit Kabayel? I wouldn't be picking him. I would be favouring Kabayel. And Kabayel is missing from a lot of top 10 heavyweight lists. You know, he's not a consensus top 10 heavyweight. What about a Derek Chisora? Could Hughie Fury keep Derek off of him for 12 rounds? I just don't see it. I really don't see it. Good mover, good feet, nice upper body movement. That's what he does well. But offensively, poor, far too passive, weak jab, awful punch technique, low confidence, poor strength. He's just not an elite level heavyweight right now, and I really don't think he will ever get to that level. You know, at best he could pick up a few good wins at Euro level, and if he gets to world level, at very best he will be a good spoiler. He could maybe make people look bad, like he made Joseph Parker look bad. But to me, there's just not enough meat on the bones to get me excited. I think this guy, listen man, I'm going to come out and say it, I think this guy's a write-off. If you're still expecting this guy to be a world champion, or to at least be a top-rated contender at world level, I think you're going to be waiting a hell of a long time. I don't think the guy's good enough. I really don't. I don't think the improvements have been made. And, you know, we've not seen any progress in quite some time. So I'm not convinced we're going to see it anytime soon. I'm really not. As for Hughie Fury's future, I mean, it's hard to say. Who's he going to fight? He's not an attractive proposition for anybody right now. Horrible style, not TV friendly, no profile. You know, his reputation right now is as low as it's ever been. Why would the Dave Allen versus David Price winner, for example, take that fight? Really? Now, me personally, I would actually like to see that fight for Hughie Fury next, but they're not going to take that fight. They're not. Why would they? Hughie needed to be impressive against Samuel Peter, and he wasn't. He does himself no favours. You know, I think Hughie Fury needs to stick around domestically for another year. And if he can't get domestic fights, then maybe fringe European level fighters, or guys with inflated records who aren't really as good as their records indicate. You know, guys like Chris Norad. I think he needs a few of his fights to build up his confidence, because right now, to me, this guy's confidence looks shot to bits. It just doesn't look like he has any belief in himself. Way too passive, and he fights within himself. So I think he needs to fight a couple of low-level opponents, get a couple of knockouts, and simultaneously work on some new things in the gym. This guy needs to make some changes. You know, I know his dad trains him, but I just don't see the improvements. I don't see the improvements. I think we're at the stage now with Hughie where he needs to make a change. He needs to make a drastic change. Otherwise, he's going to stagnate and he's going into obscurity, which he arguably already is. So, my thoughts on Hughie: poor performance. Next fights should be cream puffs. And as a boxing fan, I wouldn't usually say that, but I think it's best for Hughie Fury right now, if I'm being honest. I really do. As for Samuel Peter, I mean, you know, the guy, he came to throw a few punches early on. He tried to land that big home run shot. And, you know, he made Hughie Fury uncomfortable, I guess. But ultimately, you know, out of shape, overweight, and shot to bits. You know, for banter, I would love to see Samuel Peter versus David Price. That would be hilarious. That would be a shootout, because I still believe Samuel Peter could knock out David Price. I really do. But listen, in all seriousness, Samuel Peter needs to retire. He needs to hang the gloves up. He is shot to bits, and he is certainly older than 38 years old. Call it a day. He was a good contender back in his day. He was actually a WBC heavyweight champion himself. He had a good career, you know, picked up a few good wins, beat James Toney twice. He beat Jamil McCline. You know, he beat Oleg Maskayev. He had a few decent wins. And he gave Vladimir Klitschko a really tough fight in their first fight. You know, he was a good fighter back in his day, but he really shouldn't be anywhere near a boxing ring right now. But there we go. Share your thoughts below. Peace.